I replaced Adira first chance I could. She kept summoning demons. Muck not liking the Space Marine companion. I haven't gotten a Space Marine companion. I've been looking forward to it because, like, on the art, there's like this guy. I haven't met him. Who do you have so far? Literally these 6, and then the Inquisitor guy, but he just left the party.
What lies beyond?
The wearer of this cape is immune to burning. Whenever the wearer ends their turn, burning is removed from all adjacent allies. There was a Psyker skill to set an ally on fire, but they do massive damage to enemies each turn around them.
We'll see.
These columns appeared here back when the station was founded, when it was assumed that Footfall would become a wondrous palace in the stars. Do you have your root canal yet? Yes, Richard. I had it yesterday.
Tapestry of the world.
I'm very medicated right now. Use the cogitator. It opened a gate. You mean Heinrichs? Yeah, I've got Heinrichs. But I think just because of the quest line, he just left us here.
Nothing's impossible for this old officer.
Commander's Monocle. Whenever an ally under the effective voice of command ability makes an attack during an extra turn, this attack does additional damage. Great sword.
Look no further.
Oh, nice pose.
As it should
The
be.
numerous wounds and injuries indicate that this was a particularly brutal murder. The letters A and V are carved into the victim's shoulder blade.
Patience? My nerves are frayed.
You get the Space Marine way later.
This Explorer tool is blessed with multifunctionality.
Xenobeastus unknownus. Behavior, cruelty, trickery, rampant mating, habitat. Void doesn't need air. Rock, diet rocks, fears the Emperor and fire. Punish the Xenos, a coin for a go. Darukara. Behavior, villainy, malice, habitat everywhere, hides among people. Diet, doesn't eat, feeds on blasphemous thoughts. Fears the Emperor, prayer, and righteous thoughts. Dreadful Xenos. Leaflet, we need no rules or leaders. We are not an organization. We are a force of nature. Signed A and B. Same thing. The wares here are shoddy-looking weapons built out of questionable parts. Monk, you're doing side stuff, right? Yes. In Chapter 1, I tried to do... I did every single area I found on the map before going to Chapter 2. A small food booth. The portions look meager. Like, if you were to tell me that I missed a companion in Chapter 1, I would be shocked. Because I did every single area I found.
Amidst the madness.
A stall selling old knickknacks for everyday needs. How can the Leech stand for this? They should have stoned them all. Fine then, we'll deal with this ourselves. Let's see. The buzzing crowd has closed in on several harried-looking individuals, some of their faces smeared with fresh blood. The angry cries and twisted faces leave no doubt a massacre is about to take place. They just cut their throats already. What were they thinking letting that ship dock at Footfall? They're all stricken. No, no cutting. We get their blood on us, we'll be tainted too. Better burn them. And then the Pope shows up. Be quiet, you oh, nice camera view. Be quiet, you scoundrel. A priest clad in simple black raiment cuts through the crowd like a void ship crossing the sky. You dare pass judgment on others. What arrogance to think you have the right. Argentus starts at the side of the elderly priest. That's Reverend Hieronymus. I'm surprised he's decided to intervene on a street squabble.
Keep the group
Watch
alive. I'll be right back. I want to stand in the fire just so you don't get bored.
Watch in silence. Reverend, but these are heretics. Real heretics. Their whole planet is plagued. Folks say they all died over there. And why is that, huh? Because they're heretics. The Emperor punished them. We're no heretics. One of the people surrounded by the crowd raises his chin. We ran from the heretics, barely escaped with our lives. There was no plague on our planet, only the archenemy's minions, a whole army of them. He spits on the ground. And if you want to blame anyone, blame those who abandoned our world. Blame the governor, blame the tech priests, blame the masters of Kiava Gamma who forsook it in its darkest hour. Intervene. What is going on here? Several dozen gazes bore into you. And who are you supposed to be? A concerned citizen, an armed one. I suggest you think well before giving me lip. The rabble-rouser gives you an appraisal look. You got a point there. I wonder if you could back it up. Silence! You must be completely out of your minds. A band of woefully dim-witted reprobates who think themselves bringers of justice? Who are you to pass judgment on anyone? All you ought to be doing is suffering and repenting till the end of your days. And what's so wrong about that, Reverend? We just want to put these heretics to death. We're not heretics. The man's on the verge of tears. We're refugees. I swear it on the Golden Throne. We served the Imperium faithfully until they hung us out to dry. Where were the protectors that were meant to shield the lands of humanity from nightmares? Traitors. Traitors and heretics, the lot of them. Murmurs run through the crowd. The people gawk at you, the priest, at the wretched group huddling in the center. How tiring. The motley sea of colors that fills this restless crowd is hard on the eyes. So many hues, so many of them are acid yellow streaks of fear, their red buds swelling, ready to burst and paint all who gathered here. Cassia looks at the crowd of troublemakers wearily, and they shudder at the very sight of her. As for the hearts of those who have been forced to defend themselves, they are shrouded in purplish black grief, but their words are as transparent as the ice that lies on the top of the glacier. But commoners are always deaf to others' suffering, for such is their nature. Interfering in their affairs is hardly worthy of you or me, Muck Von Muck. This is how I talk about ordering Subway? Same. Coercion 15, 87%. All onlookers are to return to their homes immediately. The refugees can go to Dock Alpha Rho. I will speak to you later. Comply or face the consequences. The rabble-rouser looks at you morosely. I don't want to get in trouble over this lot. The refugees use the interruption to make off in the direction of Dock Alpha Rho. I was kind of hoping a fight would still break out. Arrogance and self-righteousness of a malefactor. The priest shakes his head disapprovingly, then his eyes shift to you. I am Reverend Hieronymus Doloroso, head of the Drusian mission here on Footfall. I thank you for stepping in. Please come see me when you have the time. We could talk then. Okay. What's that? The stall selling old nicknames. Oh, we already read that. We already have one of these. What does this button do? The sight of this cogitator would be enough to break any tech priest's heart. The machine is leaning slightly to one side, grimy, covered in scrawled drawings, with frivolous writing scratched here and there on the casing. Several keys are missing, and the rest are coated with dust. Pascal's respirator lets out a mournful hiss before he says grimly, "The right of operation has been repeatedly and blasphemously violated, requesting the identification and punishment of the deplorable acolyte entrusted with caring for the spirit of this machine. Tech use, try to repair it." Success! After a series of creaks and groans, the cogitator's dusty screen lights up. On it are several lines of text, section headings. Praise the Omnissiah. The machine spirit of this cogitator is aggrieved but willing to serve. Accompanied by the cracking of a binary prayer, Pascal's mechadendrites gently place a couple of keys lying on the floor back into place. Select the section titled Welcome. Lopo says, alright, I'm reinstalling Knights of the Old Republic, muck darn sci-fi RPG vibes. Thinking of KOTOR, makes me think of that one robot that called all the humans meatbags. The screen flickers a few times before revealing to the world a text in low Gothic. In the name of the founder of Footfall Station, conqueror of stars, builder of outposts, the noblest rogue trader, Parsimus Dwayne, and on behalf of all his descendants, I welcome you. This cogitator was installed on the order of the illustrious Parsimus so that the needy may tap into the flow of his wisdom. Cast your eyes upon the list of sections and choose what you wish to know. Abelard's brow furrows. Parsimus Dwayne? I've never heard of such a rogue trader house. Whoever this Parsimus was, he sure thought big. Lord Captain Parsimus Dwayne, one of the trailblazers of the Coronis Expanse and this station's founder. I've read about his great deeds. Lord Dwayne was once a colonel of the Asta Militarum, but by his will later inherited a warrant. He accumulated enough power to gather a small fleet of loyal allies and venture out to conquer the Coronis Expanse. They say Footfall was meant to be his personal palace world, but the construction dragged on for decades, and Lord Parsimus eventually died of old age. His enemies instantly tore Footfall to pieces and turned it into the bastion of humanity we know today. One that is full of bandits, privateers, hustlers, and rogue traders. Pleased with herself, Cassian nods slightly to let everyone know that the lecture is over. Select the section about Footfall. Footfall Station has been envisioned by the great Parsimus Dwayne as a palace in the stars, as majestic as the spirit and mind of its creator. As of the year of this cogitator's installation, merely a small fraction of the great Parsimus's designs have yet been made a reality, but already their audacity and grandeur are staggering. Footfall is to become the gateway to the savage and barely explored Coronis Expanse, a foothold for future conquest by the Imperium and the noble Parsimus Dwayne who acts by the Emperor's will. The cogitator wheezes and blinks, clearly trying to shut down. Tech use. Attempt emergency repair. Cogitator whirs and the screen turns back on. One of the first structures on Footfall was of the Colossus statue of the Emperor. Yes, because that takes priority over food. A whole asteroid was used for the creation of this sculpture, but even its titanic proportions cannot convey the awe that every faithful servant of the Imperium feels before its master. The statue is the center of Footfall in the same way that the Emperor is the center and heart of the Imperium. As construction progresses, new smaller asteroids are being attached to the statue, their service serving as a foundation for his glorious palaces and temples, and their inner tunnels as homes for the commoners and rabble. Select Parsimus's Dwayne's design. The cogitator flickers and grunts before displaying a tapestry of text. The great Parsimus Dwayne intends to conquer the Coronis Expanse and build the most grandiose structure which will shine through the ages, praising the names of the creator and his descendants. Footfall, the palace and the stars. The glory of the great Parsimus's deeds will live all throughout the ages, and his grand designs. The cogitator hisses and grunts as it tries to clean its insides by spewing out dust and detritus through its cracks. The cogitator hisses for a while, then the screen flickers and once more shows the words, "The great Parsimus Dwayne intends to conquer." Pascal's Vox wheezes mournfully. The spirit of this machine is enraged and will perform its function no more. I will see to it that the profaners responsible for its maintenance are marked for servo penance. Imagine if you worked tech support and you found someone that didn't take care of their computer and you were allowed to sign them up for
My
penance.
success is an irrefutable certainty.
You installed what from what link?
Stings in my veins.
You are getting penance tomorrow. No. I already read these. Quick save.
What lies beyond? Applaud
Imperium.
my brilliance.
In this mismatch of devices and cables, you notice equipment from totally different eras. Some ancient... oh shoot, where'd it go? Some ancient, some really old, and others hastily tossed together in more recent years.
They will see. Oh, yes, indeed. They all will
quick save.
see.
Lesson learned. A soldier would have been disciplined for such a performance.
Dude, this whole thing where you get fatigue if you fail an athletics check sucks so bad. Like, so incredibly bad. Like, a debuff that is really bad that lasts until you go back to the ship for failing to hop over a box. It's pretty brutal. Like, it's bad enough that I'm reloading to a second ago. Nasty stuff. Is getting Rickrolled the thing where you get penance or need penance? That's just a promotion.
In this tapestry of a world, I am the rogue thread.
A low hum of voices quiets, and a dozen gazes shift to you. First mate Dagon, a tall man with a shaved head, is rubbing his hands together nervously. His opulent clothes are nearly bursting at the seams on his muscular body, and his expression is forbiddingly grim. Still, he tries to put on an air of friendliness. Greetings, you must be... He glances at the scroll in his mechanical hand implant. Master Fidelio, all the guests have arrived. You're the last on the list, and we couldn't well start without you. Your presence is absolutely vital. You must have me confused with someone else. I am Muck von Luck, envoy of the von Valancius dynasty. He rubs his hands together. Von Valancius? You're not on the list, but that hardly matters. All doors on Footfall are open to a representative of Lady Theodora. Please come right in. Chaplain is about to begin. Now, where is that last attendee, Fidelio? Awareness test succeeded. You catch sight of something odd. Before stepping away from you, the man gestures subtly to a nearby servitor, giving it some kind of command. The servitor quickly removes the bottles of Amasec and glasses out for the attendees from a nearby table. Awareness. Success. The gathering you found yourself at seems refined and respectable at first glance. The decorations and the attendees' clothes speak of wealth, and so does the location, which isn't far from the Liege's residence. But you notice that most of those gathered are of rather imposing physique. Many of them have scars and military-grade implants. Several of the guests look like they're covering the exit. A few are clearly carrying concealed weapons. I wonder who this Fidelio is and why they cannot stop proceedings until he or she appears. Judging by the way that fellow with the list was talking about him, it's someone very important, but not a name I've heard before. I've never heard the name before either. What is this place and what is going on here? I know nothing about the place, but I can feel that something's in the works here. I sense danger and opportunity. That is a little danger, but a big opportunity. Join the attendees. I want to see what this is about. The funeral? I see someone in a coffin or something. Clerk. Oh, what a terrible, sorrowful day. We pay our respects to the life and soul of the Footfall Society, a loyal servant of the Imperium, a generous benefactor who spared no expense to keep the fire of faith burning, and an example to all future generations. The most noble and unforgettable Master Bellardo. This loss... The fussy administratum clerk speaks in a strained voice and keeps peeking off at a paper with text on it. His speech drags on and on, blending into a monotonous cascade of praises of the late Master Bellardo. Time passed 20 minutes. So let us offer a prayer to the Emperor for the repose of Master Bellardo's soul and the prosperity of its heirs. I now pass you over to our most revered chaplain. A formidable-looking man dressed in the attire of the ecclesiarchy missionary glares at the gathered crowd. And here you all are, you vultures. Let's offer a prayer then. But if you think that the Emperor or the messenger of his will, and in other words myself, does not see into your vile souls, you are sorely mistaken. Chaplain looks at you and gives a slight nod. I wasn't referring to our esteemed guest, but the rest of you I know all too well. So go ahead, pray for Belardo's soul. Soon the flames will take him. A fitting end for a life like his. May the Emperor keep his soul. Without another word, the chaplain makes the sign of the Aquila and pointedly turns away from the attendees. What the heck? Wait, do I have control? Okay. That was weird. Talk to Dagon. Tall man who welcomed you at the entrance is shifting from foot to foot. He keeps glancing around with a gloomy expression. Lord von Valancius, could you spare a minute of your time? I'd very much like to talk to you. What did you wish to speak about? Well, Dens, that is Belardo, my old friend and boss, died. And he left all he had, and he had a lot, mind you, to this Fidelio. That was kind of rude of him. Ain't no way to treat your friends, I get it. But he left his useless son high and dry and did a good thing too. But his old friend... So I'm thinking maybe you could step in and set things right. Intervene in the matter of the inheritance, or I don't know. Who is this Fidelio? Dagon winces like he has a toothache. I wish I knew. I first heard the name when Dens kicked it. Maybe Fidelio's a whore who put a smile on his face in his golden years, and so Dens decided to give them the whole kit and caboodle. Why did Dens leave you out of his will? Old age, you know, his head wasn't the same anymore. Yeah, that's gotta be it. It was just too unfair. To fly with him for 10 years, then get nothing? And what do you want from me? Is this a buggy mess or no? No. There's been 2 times where my game kind of locked up and I just did like a quick load back to like a minute beforehand and it fixed it. And that is, I've played 26 hours. Those are the only major glitches I've had. You're a distinguished sort, you can muscle in on this. You could talk to Chaplain, he's Dens's executor, and ask him about the will. Or maybe you could find Fidelio and have a talk with him too. I mean, who'd want an inheritance that's not rightfully theirs? More trouble than it's worth if you ask me. And trust me, old Dagon can be of service to you if you need anything. I know lots of about Footfall and other things. I can help with information, get you some solid leads for a job. You can use a guy like me. I'll consider it. That's good. That's really great. How did Belardo die? Badly. He went downhill real fast. Just a year ago, he was still living it up, storming slum asteroids to shoot riffraff and mutants. All of a sudden, he was done. His old wounds caught up with him, and he had plenty of those, both from the old days and more recent ones, like when somebody tried to bump him off 12 years back, I think it was. You never introduced yourself. I am Dagon Othio. I was first mate on Dens's ship. I mean, Master Belardo. Alright, bye.
Patience! My nerves are frayed!
Whoever prepared the body of the gray-haired man lying in the coffin, they did a good job. Even in death, he looks majestic. Have you thought of adding mud flaps to your merchandise store? They could have your ghost guy or Dennis on them and say muck off. I don't think Stream Elements produces mud flaps, but that's really funny. Abelard maintains a grave expression befitting the occasion. Until he sees the face of the deceased, he frowns. He peers it with suspicion. Then he gasps, astonished, almost dazed. I'll be. This is quite the meeting, if it could be called such under the circumstances. Lore. Take a good look. The implants left in the deceased body speak of his high standing. Extensive tech is typically extracted from the dead, and only the most prominent and wealthy avoid this fate upon their death. Abelard, you know this man? Do I? I would tell you all about this man, but the words I'd use would be improper for a funeral. Your lordship, this is Jerry Can Dens, known back in the day as one of the most notorious pirates in the Coronis Expanse. They nicknamed him Jerry Can for his habit of having a jug or two of promethium on hand. He did love burning things. Oh yes, he was a menace back then. How long ago was it? 60 years ago? I was serving my last days in the Navy when news came of his latest attack. Abelard distractedly runs a hand through his hair. Well, well, there was a time when the sight of Jerry Can in a coffin would have brought me to make a dance. Would have been enough to make me dance, quite literally. By the throne, I would have danced a jig on the spot, but now, I don't know. No more jumping into the warp right from under your cruiser's nose, eh, you old beast? Who would have thought I'd be at your funeral? This is a very grand for a pirate's funeral. Is this normal for Footfall? Folks on Footfall are known to turn a blind eye to many things, but even the locals aren't so unscrupulous as to honor pirate scum a few paces away from the Legion's residence. But no one has heard of Dens for so many decades, and I barely recognized him myself, and I've seen his face on pics a fair few times back then. I assumed he retired and started a more or less honest life under a new name. What is it they were calling him? Master Belardo? Now I remember. Reverend Hieronymus mentioned the name Master Bellardo as one of the biggest donors to the temple. Step away from the coffin. Put mudflaps on my Xmas list. Book of Remembrance.
No peace in
Among the
my
words
wake.
of the parting and praise of the deceased, a fresh entry stands out. Repentance. With a signature underneath, Fid, the letters are crabbed and barely legible.
A tantalizing anomaly.
Disarm trap.
The Emperor favors me today.
I mean, the trap didn't blow up in your face. I guess he favors you.
What lies beyond the...
My house would be
There's an odd smell to this amasec. It seems very likely the drink has been poisoned. Great. Who's Adelia? Are you important? The girl dressed in expensive clothes raises her sad little face to you and says in a serious voice, "Hello. Have you ever heard the name Fidelio? It's someone my dad is very mad at, but Dad is always mad at everyone. At Grandpa, Mom, Dagon, Chaplain. Someone strange left strange words in the Book of Remembrance as if they were from Fidelio. That wasn't your doing by any chance." Ha! That would have been a funny prank. Her eyes light up a little. But I don't play pranks. It was someone else. Maybe Fidelio did it very quietly. Or maybe it was someone who's not on the list, but also nobody would suspect. Where are your parents? My dad is Cass Bellardo. He's with the guests. My mom ran away. They told me she hates Dad and Grandpa. I guess she hates me too. I don't know. It was a long time ago. I don't even miss her anyone. I miss Grandpa. He was the nicest. She presses her lips together and lets out a quiet, very unchildlike sigh. Who are you and what are you doing here? Hi, April. Hiding. She hesitates for a moment. I thought I was going to cry and I didn't want anyone to see it. My name is Adelia Bellardo. It's my grandpa in there in the box. Argenta's face softens. She reaches out and gently strokes Adelia's head. The tears will pass, Adelia. The tears will pass, the strength will return, and your courage will never leave you. Adelia tries to smile, then just nods seriously. Did your grandfather ever mention the word repentance to you? He did. That word kept appearing in our house when nobody knew who wrote it. It used to make Grandpa happy when I was little. He always smiled when he saw it, but then later, when I was a little bigger and Grandpa was really old, it stopped making him happy. He was sad. He would just sit there and stare at nothing. And after that, when he got sick, she stops, her big eyes glistening with tears. When he got sick, the writing started to scare him. More and more of it appeared. Repentance, 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 even in his bedroom. One time he pointed at the word and said something very weird about dead eyes and about cobras going to class. Adelard, who was looking at her with sympathy, narrows his eyes. What did you say? Cobras going to class? Are you sure this is what your grandfather said? Of course I'm sure. When Grandpa was ill, I sat with him, and this one time he just started talking about cobras. I was sad, but it was also a little funny. Cobra get to class, he said. Abelard strokes his beard. Perhaps this is the old Navy officer in me talking, but I am almost certain he wasn't talking about a snake, but a Cobra class destroyer. Cobra, going to class, you see? Maybe? Alright, bye. We fought 2 Cobras on the way here. Chartist Pendant. Wearer gains 5 fellowship and 10 commerce. If they're dogmatic, irreverent, or Imperium will depend on the fellowships of intelligence. Also gets plus 10 Lore Imperium. Alright, quick save.
One step at a time.
Nothing escapes my sight.
First mate Dagon. The man who welcomed you to the entrance is shifting from foot to foot and keeps glancing around with a gloomy expression. Lord Von Valancius, can you spare a minute of your time? I'd very much like to talk to you. Given the deceased's former occupation, I have a good idea what role you played under his command. He smirks. They used to call me Torch. He's Jerry Can, I'm Torch. Those were the days. Did Bellardo ever mention repentance to you? No, but I know what you're talking about. The scribbles in his home, right? Yeah, it happened all right. That writing just appeared out of nowhere. The walls, the mirrors, and always the same word, repentance.